Hello, everyone. It is the top of the hour. I'm going to suggest that we go ahead and get started with today's program. This is the opportunity to learn about the Schlager Digital Library. I am your host, Lisa Spicco. I head up marketing here for Schlager Group. And joining me today is Neil Schlager, our founder and CEO, along with Sarah Robertson, Vice President of Editorial. And we are so glad that you are with us today. During today's program, we are going to share information on our extensive background of working with faculty to curate primary sources across major subject areas, and our commitment to help all undergraduate students really learn how to critically engage with primary sources. We will share specifics on our premier collection, which is called Essential Primary Sources, and what makes it different from all other primary source collections that are offered today. Importantly, we will explain the flexibility and advantages of the Schlager Digital Library platform, including its unique dual use as both a reference and research tool, as well as a course material solution. But first, let's take a minute to just cover some important details about today's program. As I think I mentioned earlier, your lines have been muted upon joining this program, but we do very much want to hear from you. What you'll notice is that there is a Q&A function at the bottom of the screen, and please use that as a way to ask questions and add comments and any insights that you gain during the program. We really do want to hear from you. Further, this program is being recorded, so later this week you will receive a link to today's program so you can go back through and listen to it, watch your favorite parts, and we also encourage you to share it with faculty or with other librarians as part of your team. With that, I will now turn the program over to Neil Schlager, our founder, and he's going to take you through, I think, some really interesting material today. Over to you, Neil.
Thank you, Lisa, very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate the introduction. And just to echo what Lisa said, thanks to all of you for joining us today. We're really excited to tell you about our platform and our collection. With that said, let's get started and do that. So the Schlager Digital Library is our premier collection, as Lisa mentioned. And just to tell you where we come from as a company, our mission is that we champion the pursuit of historical knowledge by students and researchers, helping them to apply that understanding to today's world. That is what we are all about and have been about for the entirety of our company's history. The Schlager Digital Library is a platform that contains our first collection, which is called Essential Primary Sources. And for our 2025 collection, which includes all titles coming out through the end of next year, we have 43 proprietary publications covered that we have published as a publisher, and about 2,500 primary sources as part of that collection. As Lisa mentioned at the top of the program, the Schlager Digital Library and our Essential Primary Sources collection is unique among primary source collections. If you think about all the other archival collections from ProQuest or Gale, Alexander Street, AM Digital, Redex Newsbank, all of those are of a certain type. They are all huge aggregated collections, really meant for specialized research. Ours is different. It's deliberately small. As we mentioned, 2,500 documents versus hundreds of thousands of documents. It's entirely hand curated and selected by scholars. So every document in our collection has been chosen by a scholar as something that is representative, highly representative, important to study in its own right, or representative of a major theme or movement or historical event or something that is, going on in society or culture even up to the present day. Because it's small and curated, it's much simpler to use and to discover for students. And we think that that's a real benefit of the collection. The other thing that we want to emphasize, again, Lisa mentioned this at the top, our platform and our collection has a distinctive dual use. So it can be used as a research and reference tool like any other library database, but it can also be used as a course materials platform and solution. So faculty can assign any piece of content in our collection on their syllabus that includes a whole book or even individual documents and articles. Here are some basic information about the Schlager Digital Library platform. We launched it earlier this year, but even though the platform is new, our experience as a publisher is not new. We've been publishing content for academic libraries since 2008. The platform is DRM free. There are no limits on users, simultaneous users, no limits on PDF downloads of all of the content in the collection. And because of that flexibility, that's what makes it assignable by faculty at the book or article document level. We offer, counter usage statistics, free mark records, all the authentications that you would need for your library to ensure a seamless, user experience with remote access or on-campus access from any device 24/7. And of course, our collection integrates with every major discovery service that you might be using. Excuse me. We cover, even though our foundation, our collection is sort of foundational for history courses, including US enrolled history, we also serve many adjacent course areas. And so ethnic, gender, and American studies, American government, religious studies, even English composition. All of those courses are ones that obviously use primary sources and could certainly use our collection, as a great starting point for research or as a course materials solution. And if you want to see our full course map, take a picture of that QR code in the bottom right. It'll take you to the course map on our website where you can see a much more in-depth listing of all of the potential courses that our collection can serve. And we're going to get now into a little bit deeper look at our title list for 2024 and 25. And I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Sarah, who is our head of editorial, to go through that. Sarah, take it away.
Yeah, so just to touch briefly on our title list, you can see we have 3 series. Our Milestone Documents series is our original flagship series, and it pairs iconic primary sources with in-depth commentary. So really walks students and researchers through the document, contextualizes it, explains the societal impact of each document, and again, all chosen by scholars as representative of important documents in various subject areas. You can also see the titles in our Schlager Anthology series, which is focused on pairing accessible commentary with documents. So these documents are going to be excerpted, brief overviews to introduce students through the text. And this series also focuses on inclusivity, emphasizing marginalized voices, and just great for introductory courses and general research as well. And we also have our historic document series, which it has primary sources without commentary, but this is exclusive to the Schlager Digital Library, so it's not available anywhere else. Again, just the most important documents in these various subject areas. And then you'll also see the bottom our Schlager Manual of Primary Sources, which is just a great introduction to primary sources, how to use them, and it's a great companion to our content. And then for 2025, we will have 16 new titles. So you can see our Milestone Documents of American Presidents, again, part of our Milestone Document series, Schlager Anthology of LGBTQ History, part of our Schlager Anthology series, and we will also have 5 new historic document titles. You'll also see some standalone titles, American at Sources, Counterpoints, and Perspective. So these will all be available in our 2025 title list.
Great, thank you, Sarah, so much. Let's continue on with the program. Here's a brief look at some of our new and recent customers. And really what's notable for you to see here is just the variety of institutions that are finding our collection useful. And so we've got a huge four-year institution like Oklahoma State right there in the middle, but also smaller regional public universities, University of Wyoming, Youngstown State. We've got private liberal arts colleges like Gonzaga and University of Mary, and as well as two-year institutions. Mira Costa College is a two-year institution. And so I think what this shows is that our collection really is useful and applicable to really every kind of academic institution, and I think that's representative here. Let's talk about pricing options for the collection. So there are 2 main ways: so annual subscription or collection purchase. For annual subscription, it's self-evident, but we can do multi-year subscription agreements if that's of interest. And obviously, with the annual subscription, every new title that is loaded to the platform is automatically loaded to your account. With the collection purchase model, obviously that is a perpetual access with no annual maintenance fees of any sort. And so that is an option that we are finding, some institutions do like that approach. And so they prefer the ownership model. So if you do that, then, with every new year, we do publish a few new titles every year. So, let's say you purchase the collection, now, including all of the 2025 titles. Then in 2026 and beyond, you would have the option, with a sort of a catch-up fee for the new titles, coming out that year. Our pricing is based on full-time enrollment. We've got 3 different tiers that we use for pricing. All two-year institutions are automatically placed in our least expensive tier, regardless of FTE. So that is something important for those of you who are with two-year institutions. And finally, I wanted to mention that we do offer consortia discounts for certain consortia that we have pricing agreements with. If you get in touch with us, we can tell you if the consortia that you are a member of is one of those partnerships or not, but there is that potential for additional discounts. Let me go over and summarize really some of the main benefits then, for every segment of your institution. So for faculty, our Essential Primary Sources collection, a main benefit again is that faculty can assign every part of the collection on their syllabus. So in essence, it becomes an OER for them, with students not having to pay any cost. For students, that is of course a huge resource and benefit. If their faculty professors are assigning our content on their syllabus, then they are not paying anything for that content, which is great. But students can also use it as a research and reference tool for research projects, writing projects. It's a great starting point for research for students at every level, from introductory survey courses all the way to upper division courses. And really, our collection is a great starting point even for other more specialized primary source collections. So keep that in mind as well. For the library, easy setup, easy administration, easy authentication, integrations and options for every budget. And then for your institution, I want to highlight here again the fact that it aligns with campus affordable textbook initiatives. So if OER and affordable textbooks are a big thing on your campus, and that is true for most institutions, I would say, then this is a great resource. Finally, if you're interested in sort of taking the next step and learning more, we'd love to set up a call with you. You can use that QR code again in the right, or send us an email at sales@schlagergroup.com. You can send me a personal email as well, neil@schlagergroup.com, or give me a call. But we can go straight to a demo if you want. We can set up a trial. We can have an introductory call where you can ask more questions. Whatever works for you, let us know. We would be delighted to set up a discussion and a dialogue with you, and see if it could be a good fit for your library. And with that, I think we are ready to take some questions. And just a reminder, which Lisa has mentioned, use the Q&A function on in your Zoom controls to ask a question. And Lisa, I'll turn it back over to you, and you can take it from here.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Neil. I appreciate it. We do have a few questions that have popped in, so we'll tick through those first, but please, by all means, go ahead and add them as they kind of come to you. Often that's the case. One question will motivate another. So the first question that we received, Neil, I'm going to say maybe this goes to you. Are the primary source documents actual scans or the originals? I'm sorry, scans of the originals, or are they HTML sort of text?
That's a great question, Lisa. And so, yes, in our case, these are not scans of newspapers or documents. These are HTML text only, on a computer screen, and which sort of befits our collection. And so, if you're thinking of a Redux or an Alexander Street and those sort of digitized, specialized sources, that is not what we do. And so these are just simple HTML or PDF, texts that have been transcribed in English translation or what have you.
Alrighty, thank you. Let's see, our second question, Sarah, maybe this goes to you. My faculty are always in search of primary sources that may be new or unique, instead of the ones that they use kind of year over year. Do you have a way to kind of quantify the primary sources in this collection that are perhaps lesser known or unique? This is a tough question.
Yeah, so, well, I am, vice president of editorial, so I work with all of these sources, and I would say probably maybe 30% or so are unique. They're hand selected by whichever scholar we're working with, and they can be from books or monographs. Plenty of our sources are widely available and kind of, the iconic documents, but we do have some really unique sources. And so our content is very original in that department. So you definitely won't find some of these documents in other places.
Perfect. That's great.
And
Thank
the one,
you.
I would just jump in, Lisa, real quick and add that, Sarah's exactly right there. The one element of our collection that is entirely unique is our commentary and analysis. So you will find that nowhere else.
Yeah, those are written specifically by scholars and unique commentary.
Yeah, and we receive a lot of positive feedback from librarians and faculty about, again, the value of that commentary. The next question that came in, so this is still kind of on the topic of the sorts of primary sources. Are they all documents? Is it a variety of other material like maps or illustrations? Neil, I don't know if you want to take this, or Sarah.
Sure. Sarah, why don't you go ahead and take this one? I think you can answer it.
So we have written sources, we have visual. So, for example, of our we have milestone documents in visual sources in American history. So we don't have any maps that are Neil, as far as I know. We do have images that accompany all of our texts, but mostly written documents and some visual material as well.
Yeah, and so some of those, visual sources that are covered, as documents in
Yes.
themselves are, paintings, woodcuts, photographs, sometimes statues. But that's a minority of the collection. The majority of the collection certainly are written documents.
Yeah,
or
and I would
speeches, transcribed speeches and
right, and I would say our visual sources are treated as a document just like our written sources, so they also receive the full commentary and the full treatment.
Perfect. Let's see, Sarah, this may go back to you as well. What is the difference between this collection and other archival collections, like those that would be offered by AM Digital or Gale ProQuest? Certainly many others. Those were just a few that were sort of thrown out.
Yeah, so kind of like Neil touched on at the beginning of the presentation, these are going to be hand selected by scholars, most studies. So intentionally a small, manageable collection. So it's not like large sources meant for specialized research. This is a great starting point for research for students. Also great for instructors to use as course material. So excellent for survey courses, and it can be a gateway to these larger research tools. But again, intentionally small, curated, hand selected by scholars. So I would say that's what makes us unique there.
Terrific. So this is, I think, a question that kind of goes back to a comment that Neil had made. So it's talking about the fact that the institution has an active history department, but to acquire the collection, it would need to be usable by a broader cross-section of the faculty and students. I think you would sort of refer to the course map, but can you maybe elaborate a little bit, Neil, on the kind of other disciplines that are maybe covered by the Essential Primary Sources collection?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so, Lisa, yeah, foundational for history, but certainly applicable to many, adjacent humanities courses. And so, thinking of, ethnic studies, whether it's African American studies or Latino studies, we've got specific, titles and sets of primary sources that are just on those areas. We've got a collection of women's history. As Sarah mentioned, we have an LGBTQ history title coming out next year. So ethnic identity, gender studies certainly is a big area where we serve students in those courses. American government, we have many documents that are central to American government, including milestone documents of the Supreme Court, milestone documents of American presidents, which is coming out next year, many legislative documents, from the U.S. Congress. So American government also very central. And religious studies is also a big area for us. And so we've got, lots of documents that are ideal for a comparative religions course, for instance. We've got milestone documents in Christianity, which is great for any sort of, history of Christianity course or Catholic studies course. And so religious studies, political science, ethnic gender studies, American studies, all those other areas and course areas really would find value in our collection.
That's terrific. And again, I think, you had included the QR code, and we'll include a link to this in the follow-up email that we send as well to go into that course guide, because that's a great opportunity to really sort of see for yourself the content that is aligned by discipline and by subject area. It's a terrific resource. So thank you for that, Neil, and kind of taking us through what feels like a broader array of subject and disciplines and courses that could be covered. Terrific. Let's see. So the next question, and this is a marketing question, so I'll go ahead and take it. If we purchase the collection, what kind of support can we expect from the company around onboarding and setup and marketing support? So absolutely, we will take care of getting you set up and onboarded, and you know, turning on access is really a relatively easy thing. But of course, we realize that that's only where it begins, and really there's a heavier weight task that we're eager to support you with around generating broader awareness of this new resource. So we will do a couple of things. We can provide you with marketing copy for you to include in whether it's a campus app, whether it's pushing it to different faculty and newsletters, different communications, both digital as well as print. So we'll provide you with that kind of copy to make it easy for you to be able to describe. Add this certainly to your web page, to an A to Z list, however you prefer to access it. And then with your permission, we will also raise an awareness campaign to your faculty and your full librarians. And this is probably a 3 to 4 part campaign, and we have done this year very successfully. It's a way for us to acquaint faculty and librarians with the breadth of content that's included, offer some tips on how to get started, how to integrate the resources into instruction, and really strategies to drive usage across this, whether it's including this as an element within a syllabus, whether it's adding it to your learning management system, using it as a reference and resource sort of tool. So we do have a number of ways that we support this from a marketing perspective, and don't let what we do today be a limiter. If there are other things and you know, techniques and strategies that you have for messaging to students and faculty, we are absolutely on board with trying new things. So you can count on us to be receptive and responsive, and we're always eager to learn. So I'll sort of park that remark there. Is there anything that you would want to add to that, Neil?
No, I think you covered it, you know, perfectly, Lisa. I mean, you know, we very much, you know, want to collaborate with you to get the word out to your faculty and students about how to use the collection and the fact that it exists and how to make the most out of it. And so we're certainly there, and you know, and with each one of our institutions, you know, look forward to that collaboration.
Perfect. Okay, we've had 2 more questions pop in. So the first question, I think you kind of got into this a little bit earlier, and I'll say, Neil, these are probably both of these are directed to you. The first is the text OCR from digitizations, or is it hand transcribed?
Yeah, and so you know, we're pulling the sources obviously from various documents from various sources, you know, many of which are monographs or whatever. So it's a variety of things. So you know, in some cases it may be OCR, but more likely it's hand transcribed, and you know, and so should be pretty clean. Yeah.
Yeah, I would add to that also, we definitely review the doc. So I know that OCR can cause, you know, introduce errors sometimes. We don't let that happen. So we make sure most of it is hand transcribed, I would say, and then reviewed for any errors, of course. But if it is OCR, we definitely take our time with it. So it should all be clean.
Perfect. That's great. And the last question at this point, and again, I'm going to, as we answer this next one, if there are any other late kind of burning questions, go ahead and pop them in right now as we get ready to wrap up. The last question is asking if this Essential Primary Sources collection is indexed within the Alma Community Zone or OCLC.
Good question. And so I would say that, you know, we integrate with all of the discovery services, including ALMA and OCLC, but in some cases, you know, we are providing MARC records to an institution for you to sort of load into your catalog. We're just beginning to have that dialogue with those organizations centrally, so where we can begin to provide our MARC records to them directly. for indexing. And that would be the case with the Alma Community Zone or OCLC. There may be this interim step where an institution needs to, take the MARC records from us directly and load them. But certainly we hope to, in the near future, have our content in our collection, indexed, sort of centrally on those large services.
Perfect. Well, that's great. Before I take us through kind of the wrap up, do you have any final comments or thoughts, Neil?
No, I would just, repeat what I said at the end of the presentation and what's still on your screen, which is, get in touch with us. We would love to hear from you, start a conversation, tell you more, show you a demo of the platform and the collection, do a trial, an institution-wide trial, so that your faculty could, really examine the content, and really talk with you and see if this collection is a good fit for your library. And of course, given the breadth of customers that we have already, we think that it's probably a good fit for most of you. But we'd love to get a chance to have that dialogue and make the case. So get in touch with us.
That is terrific. I'm just going to wrap us up real quickly and say on behalf of Neil, Sarah, I really want to thank you for making the time to join today's webinar on the Schlager Digital Library. We hope that the information that we shared really will help you to consider how essential primary sources collection can help to elevate what you're doing in the way of research and the provisioning of primary sources and working with those within the classroom for all of your undergraduate or even graduate students. Later this week, you will receive a link to the webinar that will be in an email kind of summarizing what we covered today. We'll include that important link to the course guide. So that will be available as well. But of course, as Neil said, seeing is believing. So please reach out to us for a meeting. We'll be happy to take you through it. We'll be happy to answer other questions that come to you. And as Neil already mentioned, as soon as we get off the line, that's usually when questions will come to me. So don't hesitate to email us at sales@schlagergroup.com. We will gladly reply and get back to you. And with that, just know that we are ready and eager to help. I hope everyone has a great day. Goodbye for now.